Inyzah, and my literacy narrative is on why I stopped pretending to read. Ever since I was in the fifth grade, students in the Winslow County School District had to read every day for 30 minutes in our third period class. This was a requirement because the district assumed that reading would amp up the reading test scores on the state assessment. I was never a big fan of reading, so I would choose a random book and pretend to read. I would always stare at one word on the page, and every time the teacher decided to walk around to view the student's progress, I would flip a couple of pages to make it look like I was reading the text. For a while, my strategy worked, but then a sudden change occurred. In the middle of seventh grade, the district decided to add more instructions to the reading period. Students were now required to write 2 to 3 paragraphs about what they read every day. Not only did we have to write every day, but the teacher also had to give us a classwork grade based on what we wrote. This was a nightmare for me because I absolutely hated reading. Even with the new requirement in place, I was still pretending to read. When it was time to write my summaries, I would write sentences that were located throughout the book. During it all, I forgot that plagiarism was a real thing. I got by with pretending to read and plagiarism up until the 10th grade. I never thought I would get caught because I would always choose the biggest books with the most words in the library. One day I chose to write about one of the books in the Pegasus series. It was an average sized book though. After my teacher graded my summary, I noticed she gave me a 0. I knew I didn't read the book, but I was confused because I wrote at least 5 paragraphs in my journal. Be mindful you only had to write 2 to 3 paragraphs. When I approached her about the grade, she started asking me random questions about the book. I looked so lost I didn't know what to say. Then she finally asked me how long have I been pretending to read and just writing stuff in my journal. At first I wanted to lie because I didn't want her to think I was incapable of reading and write about what I read. She then gave me a whole lecture of how reading builds your vocabulary and how plagiarism is a crime. I used not finding books that interest me as an excuse of why I don't read. She then started asking me lots of questions because she was trying to figure out what I liked. She then introduced me to an author named Sharon Draper. She made me read The Battle of Jericho. It was the first book Sharon wrote in the Jericho Trilogy series. The book was about young students in high school who had to deal with the issue of peer pressure, acceptance, discrimination, sexual tension, and social interaction. It was very interesting, and I could relate to some of the characters in the book, so it made me want to keep reading. The end of the book was so suspenseful that I was eager to know what happened next, so I decided to read the next book in the series. At this point, I was no longer pretending to read. Instead of just picking random books, I now read the summaries located on the back of the book to see if that is something I am interested in. Sharon Draper is my hero.